Qatar has denied reports claiming it has withdrawn from mediation efforts to achieve a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, saying the efforts are stalled temporarily. But international media had earlier reported that Qatar will stop trying to mediate a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal until Hamas and Israel are willing to resume talks, and that it has told Hamas leaders they were no longer welcome in the Gulf country. Doha's foreign ministry has said they will resume those efforts with its partners when the parties show their willingness and seriousness to end the brutal war and the ongoing suffering of civilians. In fact, as you are well aware, Qatar's relations with the first Trump government had fluctuated. The big question now is, should Doha now gear up for round 2 of the same treatment? Mohammed Ghazali has been tracking the finer details very closely for us. He joins us live at the moment. Ghazali, what are the latest developments?
As you rightly mentioned, first about Qatar. Qatar, initially it was reported by the Western media that perhaps they are fed up with the kind of negotiation going on between Hamas and Israel and how both the players are perhaps unwilling to achieve any kind of ceasefire, and hence the negotiation talks were getting stalled. But the Qatar's foreign ministry has denied these reports. They say that they are still very active in the mediation talks, but yet the two parties who are part of this entire negotiation and conflict will have to accept some kind of proposal, and they both can't have a very hard bargain over this issue. Meanwhile, all eyes are on Mr. Trump because he is yet to assume the office there. And since he had mentioned that he will try to contain this conflict, he has already spoken to Mr. Putin yesterday, as per the Western media reports. But and even Mr. Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, has also said that he has also spoken to Mr. Trump, and that is when he started revealing and admitting that perhaps Israel was behind the pager attack. Now, you know, Israel never admits immediately after launching any such attack. It only does when it is strategically suits them. Right now, Mr. Netanyahu is already under fire domestically that how the entire goals of this war has not yet been achieved. All the hostages are not released. He has already fired his defense minister twice during this entire October 7 war, which started last year. So right now, Israeli Prime Minister is under intense domestic pressure, but he sees a kind of a hope or a window in Mr. Trump that he will extend all possible help, which perhaps Netanyahu was not getting during Biden-Harris administration.
As always, Ghazali, thanks so much for taking us through the latest developments. For further clarity, we also have with us on the broadcast founder of the Middle East Insights platform, Dr. Shubhda Chaudhary. Dr. Chaudhary, but as things stand right now, do you see Qatar playing a pivotal role, be it alongside the United States or Egypt, for ending the war and the return of hostages?
First of all, thank you so much for calling. Yes, Qatar has actually stated that it is no longer interested in continuing with the ceasefire mediations because of the lack of support. Now, something very interesting is happening, because when the Hamas officials were asked to leave Jordan in the 90s, that is when they took refuge in Qatar. Now, Qatar, during the negotiation of ceasefire with Israel, there is the CIA chief, William Burns, who's involved, the military hostage chief from Israel, the domestic security chief from Israel is involved, Qatar is involved. But after the killing of Ismail Haniyeh, who is going to negotiate on the basis of Hamas? At the same time, for Qatar, the recent development is that the Sudanese ambassador, who is positioned in Doha, has actually welcomed the proposition of Hamas officials setting up their office at the northeastern base of Sudan, which is just next to the Red Sea, a choke point. So that would now further create difficulty, because if Hamas goes to, say, for example, they tried 17 Arab countries and they were not allowed to have offices recently. So if it goes to countries like, say, Sudan, or it goes to, say, Iran, or it goes to even Algeria, I'm just predicting what their course of action might be. It might be even difficult for US to partner or to create any kind of ceasefire negotiations or have communications. Secondly, Qatar played a very pivotal role when it was important to give humanitarian assistance, electricity, food, at the behest and approval of both US and Israel to the victims in Gaza. not right now, but over a period of time.
Right.
Now that channel will be closed.
Well,
And it is going to have a negative ramification on the US and Israeli diplomacy. Even the civil society members of Israel, actually, they are quite flabbergasted because they looked up to Qatar at a certain way of a negotiator. They don't know what Egypt might do in a certain case because Egypt was at a backbench. What other Gulf countries, if involved, will do, or what many other negotiators will do. There was a certain kind of status quo which was established by Qatar over the period of time.
meanwhile, Dr. Chaudhary, the world is also watching for signs of how the US election result might affect the war against Hamas and Hezbollah. Now, while Mr. Netanyahu may have said he's looking to build on his previous relationship with Trump, are there any guarantees Trump will give the Israeli Prime Minister all that he wants? What role do you actually see the United States playing going forward, especially under Trump's leadership?
So there are two very important, as you know, and everyone knows, that US presidential elections are very expensive and they need massive amount of funding. So there are two donors who are very interesting profiles in Trump's presidency campaign. One is Miriam Anderson, who was born in Israel, is a very famous microbiologist and the survivor of Holocaust members in her family. She is the richest woman in US, almost 36 billion US dollars. She gave around 100 million to Trump campaign. The second very important thing which the media often misses is that Trump has actually a Lebanese son-in-law, Michael Boudos. His father, Massad Boudos, is actually a very prominent Lebanese American who, because right now the caretaker government in Lebanon is very, fragile. There might be some kind of governmental change.
Right.
All of these are going to play a pivotal role. Trump himself has said that he's not going to allow Nikki Haley or Mike Pompeo into his cabinet. The first 100 days of his presidency are going to be very, very pivotal on what he does.
In fact, that
As
is
he has
something that
said,
many analysts
yeah.
have also said. I'm sincerely apologizing, Dr. Chaudhary. I'm running short of time at the moment, but thank you so much for laying insights on the most crucial aspects of where we are going to head from now on.